Welcome back on the Rice Unfiltered podcast. I am voice of your Rice Owls, JP Heath, with Dunlevie family head football coach Scott Abell. If you're on the video side of things, you can tell that we are not at the Patterson Center with some logistics on our end and wrapping up some family matters. Appreciate Coach Abell adjusting to that. Coach, as we record this, it's a nice, fine Monday morning. How's life? How are you?
Oh yeah, it is. It's a beautiful morning here on campus, and I am in the Patterson Center. So I yeah I hate you couldn't join me this morning, but I do appreciate you zooming me in and getting the podcast going. So it's a Monday morning coming off a tough Saturday, but there's some really positives to take away from Saturday. To me we're talking a top 15 team in the country. That's what Memphis is, and probably a top 10 team if they don't stumble. If the quarterback doesn't get hurt at UAB, they don't stumble. A lot of things went crazy that day for them. Probably a top 10 team. And really, after quarter one, it was an even game, 17-14. The stats were almost eerily the same. We got to start better. It's not the first time I've said that this year, and we've changed things up, trying to start better. We'll continue to look at that formula, but some of that's on Memphis, right? You a program right now that is maybe at an all-time high, and brought a lot of veterans into the game. They were big, physical, and fast. And sometimes it when you haven't seen that at that level, it maybe takes you a little longer to adjust in what you can afford. And that's kind of what my takeaway from Saturday. It just we didn't adjust quick enough to the speed of our opponent, and we need to do that better. But once we did, I thought our guys settled in. We did a lot of good things, and a lot of things that a young football team like ourselves can build on.
Like you told us right before the game, and then afterwards, so I'm kind of cheating on the test here. You told us the trenches, like they made the difference up front. I mean, you knew they had a power four defensive line, and they proved that. But I know you did make some adjustments. So, what did you do better, and how much of a difference did they make in the beginning of that game?
Well, they made a big difference, on both sides of the football, right? I thought that first quarter they really controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides, and that really forces your hand. And I think I left the screen. I don't know if there
It's
I am.
me.
I'm back. I'm back, people. I know y'all were worried, but um, you know, they were explosive. And I think that's the best word to use. What made them difference in any probably upfront team we've seen all year? They were explosive in every position up front. And so what that meant was, you got to find the right option game to get going, right? And we got a lot of versions, and we found it. We found our kind of wide zone triple, and it got going. And then once that got going, you saw it. Man, we went right down the field and we scored, and then came out of half and just missed getting the drive going. And that's been a key for us. Once we get a drive going, we've been pretty good all year. Getting that first down or two to get the drive going, it hadn't always been easy. Second drive, we get it going right down the field to start. We got it going to the end of the second quarter, and then found it again in the third quarter. And it had some penalties on that drive, right? I don't, it, unfortunate is what the word I'll use. I won't say whether I agree or disagree. There were two unfortunate penalties in a span of 3 minutes that I don't always understand. One was on the backside of a play. Chase broke a run on a speed option that got us down the first and goal inside the 10. That got called back for a chop block on the backside. Yeah, I can make a case either way. And so now 2nd and 25, and that's when the ball went off Aaron's fingertips for an interception, and unfortunate. And then Aaron got the late hit, which was not out of bounds. I can clearly say that. I have no problem saying that. I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree with the call to protect the integrity of everything here. But I will say, Aaron, chased down the play, great effort. Hit the ball carrier while he was clearly still in bounds and gets called for unsportsmanlike. So you go from really first and goal on the other end, 2 plays later, they're down the red zone. And not that we would have maybe made a run to win that football game, but really putting drives together, controlling the second half was really important to us. And I thought we did that even in that moment. And then, unfortunate that we couldn't put together a better first quarter.
Speaking of the turning points of the game, when the officials came back and overturned that play when Memphis took the ball over at the 7 or the 9 yard line there, did they give you an explanation? Because we didn't see of the monitors. I know that they have a hard job reviewing things, but it seemed like I was bringing up a baseball analogy, Coach. The Chase's throw had a little bit of tail on it. I just didn't see incontrovertible evidence that it went for Memphis's favor. Did they tell you anything as a reason why they did that or not? Or
no, they just said that they reviewed it to overturn it. They thought the pass was a lateral. I see it the way you see it, and even on my film, I see it that way. The trajectory of the ball looks to me to be lateral or slightly. Not a backwards lateral slightly in front, to be honest. But the play was such bang bang. It's hard to tell in live. And the film angles probably aren't always great to tell, right? But, once again, that's a call could go either way and went against us. Very, very frustrating, but that's how the ball rolls sometimes. And, it's just like the muff punt. Marcus Williams arrives as a guy. I can make a case that call should go either way, that we get on that fumble, right? And so, for us to compete and go toe-to-toe with a top 15 program, we got to create some of those breaks, which I thought we did, but then we weren't rewarded with them. And then we got to prevent some of those things, which we didn't do, or it didn't go our favor. And that was a turning point. And, the muff punt came, I think, right after that or right before that in the sequence. And, you need some of those breaks when you're trying to really upset that quality of opponent. And we just didn't get those breaks and didn't make enough of them ourselves.
Mentioned playing them virtually even there in the second half. It was 7-7. I know that doesn't matter in the grand scheme with the score, maybe boost some confidence, but what do you think the guys did better, as you mentioned, the last three quarters in the second half that and can you even draw momentum? Is that a notion that's not accurate, or how do you see playing so even with them throughout most of the game after that?
Yeah, it's 21-0. You lead the first quarter, right? So after that, it's 17-14 from there on out. And I do draw momentum from it, and our kids should, and not just in that, but the stats were even, right? They had 240 yards offense. I think we had 210 after the first quarter. None of those are earth-staggering numbers, but what we did do after that is we controlled the clock after the first quarter. Like, we had the ball 26 minutes to their 14 minutes. That's a big number, right? Now the number, like, we had the one turnover. Can't have that. Without that turnover and without that penalty, I actually think we win it from the second quarter on. I think that the score could easily have been 17-14 flipped in our favor. Just if you look at, and that's our formula. And I've said this before, it's not a sexy formula, but to win those kind of games, and nothing's going to change, right? A Memphis football program is built differently, right? Financially built differently. The campus is built differently. It's okay. I don't say that as a negative to us, but the formula for us to win football games is to control the football, control the clock, and to play good, sound defense. Well, we did that quarter 2, 3, and 4. We did that. Quarter 1, we didn't. And now you're behind the 8 ball, which we can't play like that. So I draw a lot of momentum to show our team, hey, for 3 quarters, we can make this work against this quality opponent. How do you do that more consistently? And so, once again, some of the answers are you got to get to the offseason. You got to develop. We need more development time in the weight room against an opponent like that. And I do believe I think they're the best team in our league. They're built differently. Their team, I think, would go into a couple of these Power 4 conferences and compete right away at the top of their conference. Whether you're talking the Big 12 or you're talking the ACC, I think they would go in and make a lot of noise in both those conferences. And so, our goal is, how do we get there, right? And that's the message to the guys after. Like, that's where we want our program to be, and knowing that we will operate differently, and that's okay, but we can get there by operating our way.
Some individual performances did stand out. You really featured a lot of Tyvon Byers, and Hardeman got some reps, but we've seen that in some stretches in some other games. What do you and the coaches like about Tyvon, and what did you see from him in that small sample size as it was?
Well, for us, and this is something we've known, but we think it's important that we need to add a little more physical aspect to us, right? And Tyvon gives us that. He's a bigger back. He's very physical, as people see running the football, and we think we need that at times. And so we thought it was a great opportunity to really get him going there in the second half, which it was, and he did a fabulous job. And I think you'll see more of him mixing in certain situations as we head down the back half of this season.
About Andrew Alway, a career high 12 tackles. When I tell other broadcasters about him, I tell them about his ridiculous Rice major in analytics and AI or something he told me in the offseason. I have it in my notes, but just what he continues to do and the linebacking core, him and Morris seem like just a wonderful tandem. But speak to Andrew, his development, and just the kind of guy he is.
Well, he's a incredible person, right? And I say that a lot. I call him kind of my pseudo extra captain, meaning he's not a captain on this group's team, but I'll lean on him like a captain. I have a lot of conversations with him. He's very intelligent, incredibly hardworking, and he's just got a charisma about him. He's got character about him, and he's what Rice is all about. Came here as a walk-on, earned scholarship, and now finishing as a 2-year starter and playing his best football. So, Alway wouldn't tell you this, but he's banged up. He's had to play a lot of snaps this year, more than he's ever played, and that body takes a toll. So, trying to get him and guys like Ty, their bodies feeling good from week to week is our challenge at this point. But really proud of Alway and what he does on and off the field for us.
About Blake Banish, he has a season high 7 tackle game. I know that a lot of that, not to take anything away, it's the nature of you're going to have more tackles from his position. Usually he's clogging up some space, but he's one of my favorites. What have you seen from Blake as the season has gone on? And I know he'll get some pro interest here in a few months here.
Well, I think Blake's playing his best football, right? I think these last 2 or 3 weeks he has played really well. We've challenged Blake to really take a leadership role up front for us, and I think he's really grabbed a hold of that, and he's been impactful, and that's what you need out of him. We're now gotten ourselves really inexperienced in some areas on defense because of injuries. Corner would be one, and our safety, what they've gone through this year has been tough, and so leaning on guys like Blake has been really important.
And Alex Bacchetta added to the Ray Guy watch list during last week. I was joking with Nate, an old Southern Miss guy, that I got to meet the Ray Guy one time, my Southern Miss broadcaster friend. But so that's lofty territory for punters. And Chuck gave us a note. Bacchetta, 10 punts of 60 or more yards his last 6 games. Just speak to Alex and not only his performance, but I've encouraged him to get into broadcasting coach. He's got that effervescent, natural charisma, that personality, doesn't he?
He does. He's a high energy guy, a lot of personality. I am such a big fan of Alex's. He's had a fantastic year for us, and I think he's got a future at the next level. Kicking the football. I know that's always a challenge. It's such the percentages are against you. Everybody knows that, but man, he works really hard at it. And I would say about Alex, a football player. He's and that's not always said of kickers, right? They specialize and they're great at their trade, but he works out like a football player. Man, he's in it. The guys love him. He's very much a part of our culture.
Funny guy. Got to meet his dad too. Let's move the page and talk about UAB a little bit and Alex Mortensen. Save it more to the press conference to get the nuts and bolts, X's and O's that fans can also see on our YouTube channel. But just what have you seen different? No, it's only been a couple games under Alex Mortensen versus what Trent Dilfer did scheme-wise. Or is there even time really to do too much different scheme-wise when you have a coaching change mid-season like they did?
Well, I think you see a difference. I mean, he's playing multiple quarterbacks, right? And I think that's because he knows the ability to get the run game going is important. And I think he believes probably the other quarterbacks he's playing give that a better opportunity, right? I don't begin to speak what's in his head or what he knows, but that's what that would tell me, that that they're both more mobile kids. One is a dual threat runner. I mean, he threw his first pass last week, but he predominantly been a wildcat guy when he goes in. But he is a quarterback, right? And he's played quarterback in his life, and so I think the thought process is we need a little more mobile guy back there for numerous reasons, and we got to start looking at our other options. But so that makes our planning a little more difficult, because you're not quite sure what they're going to do or which quarterback they're going to go with, because they've kind of been all over the map since then. Great win against Memphis after the change, and then they played quite a few quarterbacks last week against UConn. Never really settled into one, so we'll have to prepare for all of them.
And how about it? Last 3 games of the regular season, still a lot to play for. Just big picture, everybody knows you need to win 2 or 3 to get bowl eligible, which would be massive, as you state, as a big goal. Just big picture, how do you and the coaches and the team address this last stretch here?
Well, I think everyone has to understand what we're working for. And I spoke very honestly and candidly about it after the game. And I spoke to our group yesterday, and like, that's our goal. How do we get to 6 wins? Right. What needs to happen? And then we, simplest terms, we said, okay, here's where we are right in this moment. It's a 3-game season. We will approach it that way. Virtually zero. Hey, we're 0-0. How do we get win 1? Right. Let's take care of that. What are the things we need to do? And, for us, it's been the same thing all year. How do we continue to grow in what we're doing concept wise? And I think, offensively, the consistency has gotten better, but, against the Memphis, it wavered some, right? Against UConn, it was lights out, which is great to see. And so, we need to get back to doing those things. Get running the football dynamically, continue to grow the passing game, which we've done. Defensively, we certainly are. We're younger now in the secondary than we were to start the year. We're missing a couple of experienced guys up front that we started the year with. So we don't have all the same parts and pieces. So now, we need to work and figure that out, how to put our guys in best situation, play in and play out. That gives us the best chance to be successful. And that's what we're working on now as we head into this, what we're calling a 3-game season. That's what we're calling it. Hey, we got a 3-game season, right? And, we got 2 of our opponents at home. And so I'm excited for that. Our guys are going to be excited for that. And, our job is now to control the things we can control to play our best football each and every week.
Finally, as most folks know, we played Friday night on Halloween. So Saturday night was open. I don't know about you, Coach, but I was able to watch Game 7 of the World Series. And last week, Quentin Jackson and I talked about the baseball nature of the team, and he broke down kind of, hey, the best baseball players. So I was like, hey, why not ask Mr. former pro baseball player himself, Scott Abell? Did you get to watch any of that Game 7? And what were your thoughts, if you did?
All right, so I turned it on inning 8. To be honest, like I don't want to watch
time,
the whole game. I turned on inning 8, and it was exciting, right? And I watched every pitch from inning 8 on, from the Dodgers tying it up to both of them getting quite a few opportunities, runners in scoring position and squandering opportunities, to some really great pitching, and then LA winning it there in the 11th. I mean, that's exciting. What an exciting moment in sports for that to happen. I didn't have a dog in the race. I just wanted to see a good finish, a climatic ending to a long season for Major League Baseball, which I saw. So I did. I stayed up late, saw it all, and enjoyed it.
Coach, do you sack bunt there? Well, was that the 11th inning? You give up that out. That's the age-old debate, I guess. That's the one thing I was like, I don't know about that, but turned out the way it turned out.
Me personally, no, but I'm not a baseball coach, so I'm an aggressive guy. I don't bunt, move people around. I want to drive the baseball, right? I think swing the bat, you can move them around that way as well. But that's me. People get paid a lot more money than Scott Abell to make those decisions. So we'll leave that up to them. I would say for their team, I'm sure they made the right decision.
Yeah, and not you might know this already, but Danny Lehman, he was before even me, bench coach for the Dodgers, star catcher under Wayne Graham. So you got a Rice guy that has 3 World Series titles as a bench coach. Coach, I don't know
That's,
if you knew that.
no, I did not. That's great information. And man, what a career, right? You get three rings. Man, that's unheard of.
Yeah, he'll be a big league skipper here soon. Hey, thanks so much. It meant a lot. Thanks for adjusting the schedule, and we'll be back next to each other before we know it. I'll be talking to at the presser and before UAB. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you.
Thanks, JP. Appreciate it. Hey, go Owls.
Thank you. Rice Fight. Yes, indeed. Stay tuned. I'll have some final words coming up next here on the Rice Unfiltered podcast.